Number 10. On March 3rd, 1939, Harvard freshman Lothrop Withington Jr. accepted a $10 bet to swallow a live goldfish. He put the fish in his mouth, followed it with mashed potatoes, collected the money, and accidentally launched a national competition in aquatic bad judgment. Newspapers reported the stunt. Students at other universities decided Harvard could not be allowed to dominate the field of competitive fish swallowing, and the numbers began climbing. Within weeks, campuses were holding unofficial contests. Students swallowed several fish at once. One widely reported competitor reached 89. College officials, veterinarians, and animal welfare groups protested while the participants kept treating their stomachs like record books. The fish were small, which made the danger look small too. It was not. A live fish could become a choking hazard, carry infection, or cause internal injury. The crowd saw a quick joke. The person swallowing it accepted every possible consequence in exchange for applause and a number higher than the last person's. The craze lasted only a few months, but it established a rule that later challenges would follow perfectly. Once one person does something pointless in public, everyone else becomes less interested in asking why and more interested in asking how many. Number 9. In March 1959, 25 students at the Durban Yimka in South Africa squeezed most of their bodies into one upright telephone booth. They could not reach the phone, they could barely move, but they had a record, and that was enough to send the idea across Britain, Canada, and the United States. College students began searching for booths large enough to attack with teamwork. The method was simple. The first person crouched at the bottom. Everyone else climbed, folded, twisted, and compressed until the booth looked less like a communications device and more like luggage packed by someone who hated breathing. Limbs pressed against glass, knees landed in backs. People near the bottom carried the weight of everyone above them, while those near the top had to trust that the door, hinges, and walls were stronger than student enthusiasm. Most attempts ended with bruises, broken panels, and people unfolding themselves in directions the human skeleton did not recommend. The fad disappeared almost as quickly as it arrived. No great skill had been discovered. No useful record had been created. For several glorious months, the most advanced communications technology on campus was unavailable because 20 students were inside it, proving they had friends. Number 8. In 1924, stunt performer Alvin Shipwreck Kelly sat on top of a flagpole for more than 13 hours as a publicity stunt. A crowd gathered. Newspapers covered it. Kelly realized that people would stop what they were doing to watch a man remain completely still in a location where one small movement could kill him. He turned pole sitting into a career. Platforms were fixed above theatres, hotels, and amusement areas. Food and water came up by rope. Waste went down by methods best left out of the promotional poster. Kelly slept on tiny perches, endured wind and rain, and extended his performances from hours to days and then weeks. Children and amateur imitators copied him from rooftops, chimneys, trees, and homemade poles. By 1929, photographs showed teenage sitters treating the sky like a bedroom with no walls. The danger was constant. A climber could fall on the way up, lose balance after sleep deprivation, suffer exposure, or make one bad movement after days of cramped muscles and broken rest. Kelly survived his famous sits, but the craze proved boredom does not always make people restless. Sometimes it convinces them to remain perfectly still in the worst possible place. Number 7. At European courts in the 17th and 18th centuries, wealthy people sometimes entertained themselves with fox-tossing. 2 players stood several yards apart holding the ends of a long sling laid flat on the ground. Servants released foxes, hares, badgers, wildcats, and other animals into an enclosed arena. When an animal crossed the sling, the players pulled upward and launched it into the air. The highest toss won. The animal usually did not. At one imperial event in 1672, a visiting Swedish diplomat recorded Emperor Leopold I participating, while hundreds of animals were used. The sport required an arena, attendants, large numbers of captured animals, expensive clothing, and 2 aristocrats confident that the fox would respect the rules after landing. It often did not. Terrified animals bit, scratched, twisted in the air, or landed directly on the people who had thrown them. Participants sometimes carried clubs to finish the job, meaning the afternoon could move from competitive tossing to close-range animal attack without changing the guest list. This was not an improvised village dare. It was organised leisure backed by court money and staff. When ordinary people became bored, they found cards. When the aristocracy became bored, someone was ordered to locate another badger. Number 6. In April 1923, 27-year-old Homer Morehouse collapsed after dancing for 87 hours. He died soon afterward. The event helped expose what dance marathons were becoming, not parties, but endurance contests where exhaustion itself was the entertainment. Promoters kept couples moving for most of every hour, day and night. Rest breaks were short. Contestants ate while shuffling, slept for minutes at a time, and leaned on partners when their own legs stopped cooperating. During the Great Depression, the contests became even darker. Unemployed people entered for prize money, meals, and a place to sleep. Spectators paid to watch them survive another night. Promoters added sprint rounds, public arguments, and dramatic eliminations because ordinary fatigue was not exciting enough once the audience had seen it for a week. Feet swelled, skin split, infections spread, sleep deprivation caused confusion, hallucinations, and emotional collapse. Yet the show continued because the danger arrived slowly. There was no single explosion telling everyone to run. There was only another song, another lap, another ticket sold, and another exhausted couple trying not to touch the floor. The audience came because it was bored. The contestants stayed because leaving could mean losing food, money, and the only opportunity available. Number 5. On October 24, 1901, Annie Edson Taylor climbed into a reinforced wooden barrel and allowed the Niagara River to carry her toward Horseshoe Falls. She was 63 years old, a schoolteacher, and short of money. Her plan for financial security was to become the first person to survive a drop that had already killed people without the barrel. Taylor designed the container with iron bands, padding, and an anvil fixed beneath it for stability. She tested the barrel by sending a cat through the falls first. The cat survived, which apparently counted as the complete engineering review. Taylor was sealed inside, compressed air was pumped into the barrel, and the current took control. After the drop, rescuers recovered the barrel and opened it. Taylor was alive, with a cut on her head. The stunt brought fame, but not the fortune she expected. Her manager disappeared with the barrel for a time, imitators followed, and several later daredevils died trying different methods. Taylor warned others not to repeat the trip. The warning changed almost nothing. Niagara was already one of the most spectacular places on Earth, but crowds kept asking the question that human beings ask whenever nature appears insufficiently dangerous: can somebody go through it in a container? Number 4. In 1877, a 17-year-old performer named Rosa Matilda Richter climbed into a spring-powered device at London's Royal Aquarium. She performed under the name Zazzle and was advertised as the human cannonball. An explosion created the sound, springs created the force, and Zazzle flew from the barrel toward a net, while the audience discovered a completely new reason to buy a ticket. The cannon was only half the problem. The launch had to be consistent, and the net had to be positioned exactly where she would land. In 1879, a worn catching net failed during one of her performances in Portsmouth, and she fell through it. She survived, but the accident made the central weakness of the act impossible to ignore. The machine could work perfectly, and the landing could still destroy the performer. Zazzle continued performing aerial stunts until a later high-wire accident in 1891 broke her back and effectively ended her career. Human cannonball acts continued, with later performers travelling farther and faster. The audience saw a person briefly defeat gravity. The performer saw a small target approaching at speed and knew the entire act depended on equipment assembled by people who went home after the show. Number 3. After the First World War, surplus aircraft and unemployed pilots helped create the barnstorming era. Pilots flew from town to town, landed in fields, sold short rides, and performed stunts for crowds. Straight flying quickly became ordinary. Loops were added, then spins. Then people climbed out of the cockpit and began walking on the wings. Ormer Locklear became one of the most famous wing walkers. He had first climbed onto aircraft wings during military training, reportedly to deal with problems in flight, As a professional performer, he stood upright, performed handstands, moved between planes, and gave crowds the impression that the safest part of an airplane was the section specifically designed not to hold a person. In August 1920, Locklear and pilot Milton Elliott were filming a nighttime stunt sequence. Powerful searchlights were aimed at the aircraft, and the plan required a steep dive before pulling away. The plane did not recover in time. Both men were killed in the crash. Locklear's skill was real, but skill could not remove darkness, machinery, timing, or one failed maneuver. Wing walking became famous because it looked impossible. The danger came from the fact that, occasionally, it was. Number 2. Car surfing takes a vehicle designed to keep people inside and turns the outside into a stage. A rider stands, sits, or lies on the roof, hood, or trunk while someone else drives. The stunt became visible in American youth culture during the late 20th century and spread through films, home video, and later social media. The vehicle does not need to be moving fast. A sudden turn, brake, bump, or acceleration can throw the rider onto the road. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention review examined reported incidents from 1990 through August 2008. It identified 99 cases in US newspapers, 58 were fatal, most victims were teenagers, and head trauma caused most of the deaths. Reported incidents happened at speeds ranging from roughly 5 miles per hour to 80. That range destroyed the comforting idea that a slow stunt is a safe stunt. The car changes direction. The person on top does not receive the message. Then the road completes the conversation. There is usually no harness, no protective rig, no trained coordinator, and no controlled landing area. Just an ordinary vehicle, a driver, a passenger who has rejected the passenger seat, and several people about to learn that pavement is not part of the entertainment. Number 1. Subway surfing takes the same idea and adds tunnels, electrical systems, signal equipment, low bridges, and steel beams that cannot move out of the way. Riders climb between train cars or onto the roof, then crouch, stand, or lie flat while the train moves through the city. The stunt has existed for decades, but social media turned it into a filmed performance that could be copied by someone who never saw the rescue operation after the camera stopped. The danger changes every few seconds. A rider can be struck by a beam, thrown between cars, electrocuted, or knocked onto the tracks. Train crews may not know anyone is outside until another passenger reports it or the damage has already happened. In recent years, New York Transit officials, police, schools, and families have repeatedly warned children and teenagers to stay inside. Deaths and catastrophic injuries have continued anyway. A short video makes the train look smooth and the rider look in control. It does not show the tunnel entrance beyond the frame. It does not show the operator who may have to stop the train after a child falls. It does not show firefighters climbing onto live infrastructure or commuters watching an ordinary journey become an emergency. A bored rider sees an unused roof. Everyone else sees the part of the story that never makes the clip.